Hi there. Oh, now you can hear me. Got to turn the sound on. That would be helpful. Hey, how's it going? It's Teresa here with Pin Traffic Power. How's your day going? How's your week starting out? Hopefully it's going okay for you and everything is working out great. We're expected to get 1 to 4 inches of snow here tonight into tomorrow. So I hope things are better for you. We had 2 weeks ago a foot of snow dropped over a weekend, and that really slowed people down. No one can go anywhere when that happens. So here we are. We're expected to get up to 4 more inches. I hope that you're not getting snow because it is April and it's spring and we're ready for the warmer weather. So hopefully we can get something going here with warm weather. Okay, if you have questions or comments, definitely drop them down below. I am unable to see them unless you do. And I can't see who is all here unless you drop a comment below. So don't be afraid to do that and to just join in the conversation anytime that you want. A question, a comment, just to say hi, anything. And then I can see that you're here, and it's a lot more fun to have a conversation with everyone rather than feeling like I'm by myself. So let's get started. There's so much to talk about with Pinterest and different areas, different things, a lot of talk that I've heard in the background, articles that I've been reading, things that I've been reading on Pinterest and the e-commerce world. And I think we need to talk about and address, trying to think about how to do that in a way that is useful for everybody, and how to address some things, as Pinterest has been a big buzz going on lately. If you haven't noticed, it's been a big buzz in the print-on-demand world of e-commerce, especially Merch by Amazon, as people are experiencing slower sales on Merch by Amazon. And of course, March is typically a time when people do find sales are a little slower in general, as far as anything print on demand. Even in your own possible Shopify store, you might see a slowdown in sales in March. So please don't overreact to a lot of this. If you go back and look at your history of sales from a year ago, if you were in a sales channel somewhere a year ago, you might see some things there that might give you an eye opener to realize, oh, maybe this is what's to be expected in March. And every March, we might experience something similar to this. So it just depends on the situation. It depends on your niche area, of course. And there's a lot of factors in there. It depends on whether or not you are getting your products out to people. Hey, Teresa's here. Nice to see you. Awesome. But it depends on what you're doing and how you are getting your products in front of people. I really don't recommend that you rely on a marketplace to be a source where that's just your only way of getting sales, is you're relying on the organic traffic coming into a marketplace. I really don't recommend that. At some point that might work at first, but at some point that will kind of not be as useful for many different ways. If nothing else, it's because of an algorithm change with the search engine that marketplace is using. So you want to think about that, is that there's constant changes in algorithms, and we do have to, figure those out sometimes and learn them. In the process, though, it would be smart for you to also get your products in front of people outside of that particular marketplace. Okay, so I really don't recommend anyone keep their eggs all in one basket. You need to put your products in other places. So maybe multiple marketplaces, including your own Shopify store, in a blog post, something. And you need to get it out to people beyond your own store, beyond your own marketplace, whichever one that you're using. And Pinterest seems to be a really good, viable option for using that. And I want to show you why by showing you a few articles that are out there that I think are very interesting for you to read. The links are down below in the comments, or if you're inside of one of the Pin Traffic Power groups, the articles are listed above, the links to them, and you might want to open them up and take a look at some of them, because I think they're quite interesting. So what we're going to talk about first is some changes that are happening with the pins. The pins that are populating in Pinterest and what we've been creating, Pinterest has said a minimum size of 735 by 1102. Now they say that's a minimum size. They don't say that is a recommended size. They say it's a minimum size dimension, meaning don't go any smaller in creating a pin than that. Okay, so 735 by 1102 is bigger than the average square size that you would see if you were to pin directly off of Amazon or your Shopify store or eBay or Etsy or any place where you are selling your products. Okay, those are the small square images. They don't do as well. Now, if you have Shopify and you are using the sales channel integration, whenever you list a new product for sale in your store and you have the Pinterest sales channel checkmarked for the buyable pins, you'll notice that once that product is saved and goes live in your store, there is a pin that populates over automatically for you on Pinterest. So when you look at your pin feed for just you go under your profile and you look at your pin feed, that's what you're going to see, is all of your pins that are coming through from your Shopify store automatically. And those are all going to be the square images. They will. They're not going to be a nice long pin. That's what's going to happen. So let that happen. There's not a lot that you can do about that. I would just let it go because it does it for you automatically. And then what I would do is go in and create some pins for each one of those products so that they are the nice long pins. If anything, it will be a good test to see what's really happening. And you may want to change the alt text on your images in your Shopify store so that it includes a pin description in the alt text of those images, so that there's something with keywords in it whenever Shopify pushes over that information into Pinterest. There's something in your pin description that is keyworded. And you can even use hashtags if you want, but you would have to use the alt description in a way where it's a pin description. I don't always like to do that because it also is affecting the Google search engine. However, I haven't found any other solution at this point for that if you have a Shopify store. They don't have any apps created quite yet that is specifically for the pin descriptions coming from your Shopify store automatically over to Pinterest. There just isn't anything out there. So if you are a developer and you are somehow watching this or listening to this, this is your prime opportunity to develop something that could be an app that's included in Shopify for the buyable pins that are on Pinterest. And we have the option of a pin description that we could use and choose to use with keywords and hashtags that is separate from the alt description of each of the images. That way we can optimize for both the Google search engine and optimize for Pinterest. We're able to optimize for both at the same time. Now there are some, if you are a WordPress user and maybe you use WooCommerce, there are plugins for WordPress now that will do this for you. One of them that just came out not long ago is called Tasty Pins. It does give you the option of continuing to optimize for Google with your alt text, and then there is a separate place where you can create your Pinterest description, your pin description for your pin. So you can optimize the image of your pin for both Google and Pinterest at the same time. That's pretty cool that they develop that. So I'm hoping at some point that will get developed for Shopify, as we have the same need over there. Another option, if you see your buyable pins coming through automatically, they populate automatically for you on Pinterest, is you can go back and you can update the pin description for each one of those. Just do it manually on Pinterest. And you could probably use a lot of similar keywords and hashtags depending on the type of product. You know, if it's a t-shirt, you can obviously use t-shirt keywords on each one of those and hashtags. The other keywords that you might want to use that are relevant would be the specific niche area of that t-shirt. And just that would be what's changeable. But you could create kind of a basic template for yourself to make it easy for you when you do go back in to optimize your pin descriptions that are being populated over because of the Pinterest Shopify integration that is there. So think about that. In the meantime, back over to the pin ratio, 2 to 3 is a pin ratio that you want to have. Now, here's what's happened. I found out from someone who works at Tailwind that anything over 1,260 pixels, so 1260 pixels, will get cut off in the Pinterest feed. So there's a lot of people who are still, I mean, I was creating pins as 1,000 by 1,800 because I could fit a lot of stuff on the pin and it still was not getting cut off in the feed, but now I'm going to have to change that. In fact, my VA is changing that right now. And she went back to resize everything because we haven't actually used all those pins quite yet. And we don't want them to get cut off in the news feed. So before we start pinning them, she's resizing them, which is a kind of a big ordeal because it's like hundreds of pins that she has been creating. And she does an amazing job, by the way. It's really awesome. I showed her how to get going with it, and she's really done an amazing job. And she creates them for me, and she creates them for other people as well. We have something called the Pin Factory. So if you need help creating some pins, you just don't have enough time, we can certainly do that for you. And we have a pretty quick turnaround rate. It goes pretty quick and easy and smooth. In fact, I can probably show you some examples of some that we did just over the weekend for someone who contacted me and said, hey, can you go in and optimize my boards? Can you do a little bit of work inside of my account to help them out? And so we did that. We went in and optimized, and then I had her create a few pins for her products, and it turned out really nice. Looks really nice, really great, and they're off to a great start. So if you're needing any kind of services like that because you're just not sure what to do, or you don't have the time maybe to do it yourself, or you don't have the time to train a VA at this point, definitely send me a message and we can take care of that for you to keep your business moving forward. That's the biggest thing, is to help you keep it moving forward. So with the pin ratio 2 to 3, what I've decided to do to be safe is to not make the pins any longer than 1,200 at this point. I don't want to go up to the 1,500 because that's still maybe too long of a pin. Many people are reporting that they still haven't seen the pins being cut off in feed when they're at the length of 1,500. But if you want to be safe, then you could try 800 by 1,200 pixels instead. If you want to test it further, you can go to the 1,000 by 1,500, but I definitely wouldn't go any longer than 1,500 because we will start seeing those pins being cut off in the feed. I haven't seen it shown up in any of the Pinterest accounts that I'm working in quite yet, so I don't actually know in order to test it. It's not happening as much yet. So if you don't want your pins being cut off in the feed, try 800 pixels by 1,200 pixels, and that might help you out a whole lot more. Yeah, the new size for the long pins. Yeah, that's what we were talking about, Jill, is this issue of the pins being too long and now they're getting cut off on the feed. So I've been deciding to be safe and just go with the 800 by 1,200 pixels. If you want to, you could test out and try the 1,000 by 1,500, but don't do up to 1,800 like what I have been doing. Those were great and they weren't getting cut off on the feed, but now it's almost a guarantee that they will be. They're just too long for Pinterest. So be more conservative, go down to at least 1,500 pixels in length. And if you want to be really conservative, go down to 1,200 pixels. So it's not too long. So just, subtract 300 more pixels, and now it's going to be okay no matter what. That's why I feel like maybe going to 800 by 1200 is okay, because Pinterest makes changes all the time, and that might be safe for a very long period of time, no matter what they decide to do, if they decide to increase or decrease. But your average pin ratio just needs to be 2 to 3, however you want that to look like or be for you, and whatever you choose to do there. Okay, the VA service costs. That is some stuff where you could just contact me, Teresa, and I can share that with you privately of the different things that we do and options. Many people, what they really love is kind of like a one-time service thing, and they like to do a la carte stuff. They may not necessarily want a month-to-month service, done for you service. When we do that, we are using Tailwind, so you would need to have your own Tailwind account opened. And we go into your Tailwind, we set it up, we get everything going, we do the scheduling for you, we do the pin descriptions for you. If you're wanting, there's other options too, like if you want your boards optimized with keywords, if you want pins optimized for keywords, let's say that you've got some top performing pins that you've checked in your analytics and they're doing very well for you and you want them to do even better for you by adding in more keywords, we can do that for you. If you don't have time to do it yourself, we can certainly help you out there. So just let me know privately. I'm still working on what all to offer with these services. Is something where people are asking on a regular basis, and I'm still kind of hashing that out and working it out depending on what I'm hearing most often from people of what they say they need. So I do have packages that you can choose from, but I do find that people also just enjoy the a la carte services where it's like a one-time service, or the a la carte services could be a monthly thing, but certainly open to anything and everything that has anything to do with getting your account to a point where you're getting a lot of traction. And how you get traction in your Pinterest account is really simple. And don't try to make it any more complicated. It's very simple. And here's what it is. Okay, so if you want to do it, the first step is keywords. You need to master keywords. Okay. Keywords is the biggest thing for getting found on Pinterest. So you have to get found on Pinterest first. Otherwise, it doesn't do you any good to blast out a bunch of pins if you can't be found. And the way to get found is through keywords. Hashtags have now, they've entered onto the scene and they are helping some. However, people still do mostly search by keywords in the Pinterest search engine. Definitely add some hashtags into your pin descriptions, because over time, more and more people may start discovering hashtags on Pinterest that they're now working. For years they didn't work until the last, by the way, what was it, December is when hashtags were activated for the first time. So if you were using hashtags before then, no one was finding them. And now Pinterest has activated the hashtag feed, which is separate from their normal algorithm search engine with the keywords. So keywords are always going to be number one. And then hashtags, you want to add some of those in. So people need to find your stuff. And then the next step is once they find your stuff, you need to create some amazing pins. Okay. So those pins need to be something that people really want to click on, is your amazing pins. Something that piques their interest, that makes them curious. They want to find out more. They want to learn more. They want to go see what else you have to offer. And what you put on those pins makes all the difference in the world. And sometimes you need to use a really phenomenal keyword that you're doing well for in your pin description. You might want to consider adding that into the pin itself, because for some reason that word grabs people's attention. That's how they're searching. And if you have that word appear on the pin, it might even do better for you. That would be something to test. So for example, the keto diet, if you haven't heard about it, then you haven't been looking anywhere on social media, because it's everywhere. It's very, very popular. It's been popular on Pinterest actually for a long time. We've been starting to hear more about the keto diet in other social media platforms, but actually it's been on Pinterest for quite a while, at least the last 2 years, as they're kind of early adopters. A lot of people go there first and they save a lot of new things there, it seems like, first on Pinterest. And then people discover it and they want to try it. So if we are talking about the keto diet, you might want to test different keywords. And a strong keyword is just keto, but you also might want to use a long tail keyword like keto diet. That way you'll show up for both the keyword keto and the keyword phrase keto diet. It's kind of a 2-for-1, okay? And it can be much harder for you to compete for the keyword keto than it would be for keto diet in general. And your goal is to get engagement on that pin so that Pinterest will rank your pin up higher and higher and higher in the search results for the keyword phrase keto diet. And if you really get a viral pin, you will also rank #1 really high for your pin in the search engine for the keyword keto, just a one-word keto. Now that is amazing if you can do that, and you've done something really, really well, and you are able to really master the search engine. And as a review, I do have to say that, and I don't know how many times to express this, because I think it's so hard for everyone to wrap their brain around. And it's been, it was very hard for me to wrap my brain around this for a long time, but Pinterest is not a social media site. I'll say that again. Pinterest is not a social media site. People do not go there to connect with their friends. They don't have discussions. They don't talk about politics. They don't air their grievances. That's not what they do. They don't go there to actually interact with other people. In fact, many people like to say that Pinterest is a place for introverts. So if you want to get away from the rest of the people, you go to Pinterest. But what Pinterest is really used for is for search and discovery. It is a visual search engine. And when I say a search engine, I think everyone understands Google, right? So Google is a search engine. It's an amazing search engine, a very smart search engine. Guess what? So is Pinterest. So if you can think of Pinterest like Google, I think that will help you understand what Pinterest is. It is not Facebook. It is not Twitter. It is definitely not Instagram. So you don't want to treat it like that. And I've been noticing and hearing a lot of people who are treating it like it's a social media site. And I don't want to, cause a lot of controversy or strife, but I want to help you focus in on what you need to put your time and energy on to get the results. And I've seen people talking about how if I go out and follow a bunch of people per day, then I'm going to get a lot of followers back, which isn't true, by the way. You might get like 1 or 2 that follows you back. And therefore, they're going to see all my stuff. Okay, maybe. It depends. Those followers may not be good followers. They may not be followers who are active enough. They may be people who are just like you, thinking if I follow this person, then they will follow me. And you're just doing the same thing to each other. You're not really interested in anything that you have to that the other person has to offer, and they're not interested in what you have to offer. You're just, it seems like it's doesn't really do you any good in the long run. So I wouldn't put your time and energy on worrying about following people. That's not what you need to put your time and energy on. Your time and energy needs to be put on engagement. because that's how the search engine works, is the higher your engagement, the more people that see your pins. And what you're really capturing is the people who are not just your followers. Yes, your followers will see some of your pins, but so will the rest of Pinterest, right? So I almost kind of wish that they didn't have that follower option on Pinterest, because it's a little bit misleading. It makes people think that it's like Twitter, where if I follow that person, then they'll follow me back, and then we're able to talk to each other. But again, the reason why they are following each other is so that they can talk to each other as well and communicate. Same way with Facebook. You friend someone because you want to be able to talk to them. You want to communicate with them. You want to catch up on what they're doing and what's going on in their life. That's not what's happening on Pinterest. So Pinterest is a search and discovery platform. People go there because they're looking for ideas. They want to know more. They have a thought in their head, and maybe they're trying to plan for an event that's coming up or plan for something. So if they do a search in Pinterest and discover your pins for what they're searching for, they will save them. Now, they don't always act on them right away. So it doesn't mean that they are all impulsive people and they just click on it, buy your stuff right now, check out and be done. There are a few that do that, but most of the people on Pinterest actually don't. This is a more long tail strategy that serves you better, because they save this information into their boards so that they can come back to it later. When they're ready to execute, they'll decide, what do I want to buy from all of the things that they have collected into their boards? And it helps them to make decisions for their planning, for their buying of gifts. So that's why it's important to use this all year long, because people really will save it all year until the time when they're ready to take action and make their purchases. So right now is when they're collecting these ideas, where it could be birthday gifts. It could be planning for events that are coming up. It could be just that they think it's cute. It could be, wow, I need to start thinking ahead for Christmas. And they start thinking about someone that they have in mind and gifts that they like to buy them all throughout the year. And they might set up a special board just for that. So those are things to think about. Just because you don't have a sale that happens tomorrow doesn't mean that what your work is doing isn't being effective. Actually, it's a lot more effective, because when they save your pin, then their people see it, other people see it, and then those people can save it. And the more interaction and engagement that happens on that, the more that Pinterest begins to show your pin to more people more often. So pins can have a lifespan of years, where you're just doing the work once and they can hang out for years. And what we're going to do is move over to an article that talks about this a little bit further. And there are some great things that I want you to see from this. I'm going to open this up so that we can take a look at it closer together. I'm going to have to move over some stuff and I'll share my screen with you. And see what's going on here. Okay, this was an article. It's the very first one that you see. If you want to click and open it up on your site as well, you can. And then there's a link to it there on the screen if you want to just type it up real fast, but there should be a link somewhere on your site as well. I'll see if there's any questions or comments first before we do this. Yeah, okay. Yes, keto is huge, 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 huge. Lots of stuff going on. If you're making some designs with this, yes, it's a great idea, but don't share that with everybody. I'm sure a lot of people have thought about that, but you want to take your own very unique spin on that for your design. Otherwise, you're going to have a lot of competition doing the same thing there. So make it a very, very original, unique spin off of that for your design. In fact, Use Pinterest as your research for keto in order to inspire you for what kind of designs you want to make for merch. And you can search for keto humor, keto quotes, keto diet humor, keto diet funny, keto diet jokes, maybe just keto jokes, keto funny, keto memes, keto humor. Those are all great keywords. And then, of course, you may not know this, but a lot of people on Pinterest actually use the keyword ideas. So they'll put in one keyword and then the next keyword after that is ideas. They do that a lot. So here's a big tip for you. If you are putting keywords in your board titles, your pin descriptions, everywhere, you might want to incorporate the word ideas as part of your keyword phrase. That's very, very effective. In fact, a lot of the boards that I have that do very well actually use that word ideas as a part of the board title. I noticed that, and it was confirmed by someone else who was saying the same thing of, the word keyword ideas seems to be very popular. So definitely think about that. Yes, and Pinterest is very much like Google search. Yes. And with some of these articles, I'll show you why in just a moment. There is some ties to Google. Pinterest has a little bit of ties to Google that I don't think everyone realizes. And it was one of the reasons why I wanted to investigate Pinterest a little bit closer, starting at least 2 years ago, when I really began investing myself in trying to deeply learn Pinterest and what I could do to help with sales there. So I'm going to start sharing my screen here with you. I think you can see it okay. Let me know at any time if you cannot. I just want to make sure that it's populating up okay. Are you able to see this article on Harper's Bazaar? Yes, I think so. Okay, so let me know in the comment box if at any time I end up losing my my screen share, because that's happened before and I don't want to be talking to myself and you're not able to see what's going on here, and I'll pop over to make sure that I pay attention if that should happen with the screen share. Okay. This article is in Harper's Bazaar about this type of beauty product called a jade roller. Now, what's interesting about this article is it's not actually a new type of product. It's been around for a long time. And they're calling it an age-old skincare tool that is now back in popularity. And then it says, but do they deliver more than pretty pictures on Pinterest? So we're going to find out a little bit more about what's been going on Pinterest. Now, here's a tip for you. If you don't already know this, you want to do a Control F to find anything within a website page. I do that inside of Google Docs. I do it everywhere. And I want to find the word Pinterest, of course, so that we can jump to the parts of the article that we care about the most. The rest of this article is all about more like, what this tool is and how to use it and what are the benefits. That part I don't care about so much, as I want to know what they have to say about Pinterest, about this particular product. And you can imagine this being any product, not necessarily this product, but any product. And it says, why the resurgence of this product? What has suddenly made this product become popular again? And it says their newfound popularity could be explained in multiple ways, given that researchers examining data from Pinterest, 48 million beauty lovers reported that derma roller pins, that's what these products are called. The derma roller is a product. The pins with a derma roller on the pin were saved a major 345% more in 2017. There's no denying the fact that they look good on social media. Okay, Then they go on to say that there are other influencers that were sharing it on Instagram and YouTube. And that's why they think this old product that was a trend for a while and it's not been popular for a long time is now suddenly popular. They went to Pinterest and they saw that it was saved 345% more in 2017 than in any other year. So that verifies that all of a sudden it became popular again. And people were going to Pinterest to search for a derma roller, and they started saving those pins. Now, here's what you can learn from this that I think is very valuable. You don't want to delete your pins. There's different camps of people out there who are using Pinterest, and they are Pinterest influencers, you could say. And there is one camp that says, delete your old pins and always create new pins and delete the old stuff that just, those old pins, they didn't take off, they're not popular, they're not doing anything, delete them and delete them after a certain period of time. And then there's another party or camp who says, don't delete any of your pins. And this was why, because you never know down the road when those pins will start taking off. It may not happen in 1 month. It may not happen in 3 months. It may not happen in 6 months. It may not happen in a year, but it could 3 years down the road. Suddenly, those pins could really take off and become popular because for some reason, people suddenly are starting to search for something and they're going to go to Pinterest first to look for it and to find it. It's a search and discovery platform. So that's where they go. They want to know, what are these things? Where can I get them? Where can I buy them? Where can I find them? They go to Pinterest to find out. And they want to save the pins for later. So that's why there were so many that were being saved. And I bet anything, the sales, I'm sure, were up on those products. I'm sure there's a pretty good correlation there. All right, another one that I want to show you is this next article. And we'll open it up here. Make sure that you're able to see everything. Yep, you can see it. Cool. Awesome. This next article is news at Northeastern, and it's talking about the cybersecurity thing that has happened. And, people got really upset with Facebook, and there's been a lot of drama. Okay. Well, it's because of these leaky apps that are making it to where there's personal information that's leaking out. And Facebook was one of them, and there were some comments there that happened, and it says that these were people who were doing the study, and they were trying to discover the apps that were leaking out information, personal information, and they shouldn't have been. So they did the study. And it was leaking out like email addresses and phone numbers to the public. Okay. And it says here that many of the people on Facebook, they choose not to make their email addresses or phone numbers public on purpose. And it says, and the Facebook ad system is not designed to let advertisers learn users' identities based on private information. However, they found out that some of this was being leaked. Okay, so that's the backstory there with Facebook. You can read that a little bit closer. Now, why do we care about this with Pinterest? Because they had checked multiple apps, not just Facebook, and they found some privacy concerns. Okay. All right, one of them, it says, showing that Android applications have become less secure over time. Their team discovered 13 apps that leaked users' personal information in at least one version of the app. All right. One notable example is Pinterest. Okay. What happened then is the app has about 140 million active users. That's a lot of people. In fact, there's probably more people that use the mobile app than they use the desktop version of Pinterest. So you do want to make sure that your pins do look good in the mobile app as well. And it said, in the 2 versions we investigated, the app accidentally sent users' credentials to an undisclosed third party that seemed to provide user interface services for Pinterest. This is what happened. This is what they found in their results. They contacted the developers at Pinterest and they fixed the problem within a month of their team finding and disclosing it. Okay, so here's the difference. When these researchers, they go out and they do these studies to find leaky apps and problems, and then they go and they tell the developers, hey, you got a problem here. There is personal information that is being leaked out. And if people find out about this, you're going to be in big trouble. Pinterest took it seriously, and they had the problem fixed within a month. And you can imagine that it took quite a bit for them to figure out how to fix it. So it does take time for them to fix this problem properly, to keep things from leaking out and to do it well. However, they did get it done within a month. So that tells me that they are always fast acting. They take things seriously. They do take privacy leaks seriously. And for that reason, I think Pinterest is more interested in developing trust with people. So I think in the long run, Pinterest will be around for a very long time. They are taking very seriously what people think, their privacy, they care about that. They're showing that because of how fast that they acted. Now, there are some other apps that they found that were leaking, and it says have yet to address their privacy leaks. They have done absolutely nothing. So you might want to, if you use any of those apps, you may want to think about that. Okay. So they had tested several of them and done some research. So be aware that these things happen. That's what technology does. That's what happens with technology. But when it's discovered and the correct platforms are notified about it, they need to do something about it immediately and not make up excuses for it, not be in denial, but take action. Just dive in and take action. And I like the fact that what I'm reading is that Pinterest did. And I think that that's amazing. And that's awesome. Okay. There is another article. Oops, I think I got these out of order here. Sorry. This is the second one. And what we read was a third one. This one is from adweek.com. And it's talking about wait for it to all pop up here and populate. It's not totally populating. There's a lot of pictures and stuff that slows this down. Okay. All right. Where is the article from Adweek? Why do I not have it pulled up here exactly like it should be? Interesting. Let's see what's going on here. If I can't pull it up from somewhere else, we'll pull it up from over here real fast. And see what I can do here to fix that. If not, go ahead and read the article and I can tell you a little bit about what it's about here. Sorry for the delay, guys. But this is definitely not it. So that the link I had copied in real fast, I may not have copied it correctly. So let me come in here where I can get to it. And whoops, that's not the right one. We want Adweek to make sure that we do have the correct one. And I'm going to get rid of some extra tabs. Yep, that is the right one. So when I copied it, it just did not copy correctly on my side where my notes are. I have notes back behind here to help get to the stuff faster. Pinterest thinks the future lies in visual discovery and wants retailers to take notice. I love that. I love the title of the article. It's great. It's so true. Now, here's proof. If you are not sure what Pinterest is and you're trying to treat it like a social media site, stop. It's not social media. It really is not. It's a search engine. And the type of search engine is a visual search engine. It's very interesting. It's kind of like Google on steroids in a way, to be honest with you. There's more power to the platform than just pinning. Yes. So visual discovery, if you are a retailer, if you are a business, you do need to take notice. And guess what? Pinterest does want businesses and retailers to take notice. This person right here is the CEO and co-founder of Pinterest. His name is Ben Silbermann. And there is something unique about Ben Silbermann that I feel like there is a connection there in a way. And it's this. I don't know if you know this, but I am from Iowa. I live in Iowa, and I'm originally from the Des Moines area of Iowa. I've been living in Cedar Falls and teaching at a local university for quite some time, and I'm actually going to be moving back to the Des Moines area in about 2 months. And guess where Ben Silbermann is from? You're never going to believe this. He is from Des Moines, Iowa. I had no idea. And he grew up there, just the same as me. And when I was reading a little bit more about him, it was just, I just couldn't believe it. His parents are ophthalmologists. They can do surgeries for eye surgeries and different things, eye checkups. They're very good at what they do. How do I know that? Because for many years, I have no idea how many years exactly. It's got to be at least 10 years, if not longer. I almost want to say close to 20 years. His parents, they are a mother and it's a wife and husband team. They both work together, and they're now retired. They don't practice anymore. They're now retired. They just retired a couple years ago. And here's the thing: is I kind of started reading about Ben, and I talked about he's from Des Moines, and his parents are ophthalmologists, and then the last name, and I thought, oh, I think this is my mom. My mom has been going to his parents for years, for at least 20 years, as they were her ophthalmologists. They have performed surgeries on both of her eyes very successfully. Believe it or not, that is what it is. His parents were my mom's doctors for years, and they were very good doctors, really, really good at what they do. If you want to know more about Ben Silbermann, you could read the quick Wikipedia of this, and it's fascinating. So he is the co-founder and CEO of Pinterest. Yeah, he is from Des Moines, Iowa. This is his parents, Jane Wang and Neil Silbermann. They are doctors, they're ophthalmologists. And in Des Moines, and that's where my mom, they have been my mom's doctors for years and years and years. And she always talked very highly of them. And went to them all the time and talked highly of them, of how great they are. I had no idea. I had no idea the entire time that their son was the founder and CEO of Pinterest, because they didn't share that with anybody. And I imagine that they want to kind of be private. They want to be private people, and they didn't want to share that. So he graduated from Roosevelt High School in Des Moines, which I'm very well aware of that high school. and he graduated from Yale College. So this is someone who went to MIT and graduated from Yale, believe it or not. All right, this is the kicker right here. Prior to Pinterest, which launched in 2010, so it's only been around since 2010. It's very young. It's a very young platform. Before he launched Pinterest, guess where he worked? Google. He worked for Google. Now, does it make sense to you why Pinterest is a search engine? It's a search and discovery platform. His influence was from the work that he was doing for Google. He worked behind the scenes for Google. He knows exactly how Google works and runs, and that's what influenced him to create Pinterest. So you can see how this is all fully developed and why you might want to be thinking about Pinterest as like it's Google. It's a search and discovery platform, but it's a visual search and discovery platform. Okay. And he worked in the online advertising group. So he is very well aware of using advertisements and advertising and brands and businesses and retail, all of that. He's very well aware of that. I think that's why over here in this article, he wants retailers to take notice of this. And it says Pinterest is trying to prove that it's a visual discovery platform that can actually drive purchases and connections for brands. Okay. Now they're saying they don't have it all figured out. They're trying to understand the consumer behavior that drives visual discovery with an action. Retail vertical strategy lead at Pinterest. However, as you continue to read here, it says that he discussed how visual discovery will be a key part of the future and how we use a camera will expand beyond just taking photos. And he says, I think in the near future, people are going to query the world around them all the time. It's going to open up the possibility for retail experiences to happen anywhere you are. Okay. Now that makes sense because if you notice in the Pinterest app, there is something called Lens, and people do use Lens. They go out into stores, they click on the search button. If you click on it twice, Lens comes up. They take a picture of something they're interested in, and they discover something similar to that on Pinterest. That's why he created Lens. Is another way of making it a search and discovery platform that is very visual. So even when they go out into retail stores, they're able to use Pinterest. If they have something around the house and they want to go find where to get it, this is why the retailers need to be paying attention to Pinterest. Okay, they are making things very specific for brands and businesses and retailers. So if you're not on there yet, you need to be. I'm telling you, this is very pioneering. Ben is very forward thinking. And Pinterest is very forward thinking. I think that's why it's so hard for everyone to understand it, is it's very different. It's a different animal. It's revolutionary in many ways. But it has more likeness and similarities to Google than it does anything else that you can possibly think of. It says, what we're really good at is giving you the power of browsing like you do in a traditional store environment and bringing that window shopping in a more relevant way visually and that discovery angle. So think of Pinterest as window shopping. And I think I've talked about this several times before, but it's like window shopping. It's like going to the mall and you're just browsing around and you're looking inside of the windows of stores and shops and retailers, and you're interested to see what they might have to offer. And if it looks appealing to you, you might actually step inside the store. That's what your pins are doing on Pinterest. It's the same kind of theory going on there. Okay. It says the company doesn't want to become a site where transactions take place. It just wants to help its users find products they're looking for and work with retailers to help that search experience. This focus also means that Pinterest is working against the idea that it's another social media platform like Instagram or Snapchat. All right, read that again. This focus also means that Pinterest is working against the idea that it's another social media platform like Instagram or Snapchat. It is not. They don't want it to be. They do not want it to be a social media platform that is like all the others. It doesn't fully, why? Because it says the social media platforms, it doesn't fully capture what Pinterest can do with visual discovery. So that's why they don't want it to be a social media platform. They really, really, really want that visual discovery. They say this is the future. As Pinterest doubles down on its visually focused mission, it's also expanding its ad capabilities for retailers and business. On Monday, the company announced that more businesses will be able to use Pinterest shopping ads, and that is testing new types of ad units that focus on different product looks and images that resonate with customers' lifestyle. That's true. They're developing more shopping ads, promoted pins for businesses, and that's coming in the works where there'll be some more options that will come into play. So as a search and discovery platform, it says here, we pride ourselves in helping the consumer from the initial inspiration through to the actual experience of purchase. That is the mission of Pinterest. That's what they want, is to help people go from exploring, finding, being inspired, all the way kicking it over to making that final purchase. There's a lot of room for retailers to win with customers on Pinterest. 97% of users' searches are unbranded, meaning there's more room for brands to develop visual ads and discovery for consumers. So I'm going to hit this topic now. If you are using a fake name or a pseudonym on Pinterest, and you think that this is the way to go, that you're going to get all these followers because you're so focused on followers, instead of on using it as a search engine and helping people discover your pins and what you have to offer. Okay? You don't get followers on Google, do you? You need to use it in a way that is with keywords, just like you would with Google. Okay? Very similar to that. It's just a visual search engine. That's what's different about Google and Pinterest. If you are not developing a brand now, you need to immediately. I would stop using the fake names and the pseudonyms, and I would start using a brand. You need to build a brand, and Pinterest is a place to do it. It is not dominated solely by the major big brands that are out there. This is a place where people can discover new brands because that's what they're there for. They want to be inspired. They want to discover new things. They want to try new things. That's the mindset of the average Pinterest user. They are not closed-minded people. They're very open-minded. And once they discover your brand and they love your brand, they will become your follower. That's the type of follower that you want. Someone who falls in love with your brand, with everything that you have to offer. They fall in love with your products. They become loyal shoppers. They buy from you over and over and over again. If you are not branding, you are missing out on a major opportunity with Pinterest. You need to start branding now. Make your business name what your profile name is. Don't make up some name of a female that you think is going to work for you in the long run, because I'll guarantee that it won't. That is not the vision of Pinterest. So you need to understand how Pinterest works and understand how you can align with that. Okay? So they are in the interest of businesses and retailers. They are doing special things all the time for brands. They're inviting brands to participate in new things, and you want to be first in line. When you really get your brand going and you get a lot of engagement happening, Pinterest notices, and you will be first in line to be invited to lots of things, and you will be building something that is bigger than yourself. Okay? It says here, the fundamental core of what pinners are doing is not to connect with people. That would be social media. It's to connect with brands that inspire them and to do things in real life. And that means they need brand content to have a reason to get back what it is they're looking for. Okay. All right. So I feel like I had to be on my soapbox there for a brief moment. But I think it's important because I keep seeing this a lot in some of the comments and conversations that are going around Facebook. And I'm reading some blog articles from people in the e-commerce world that are teaching some things, but they haven't taken the time to study Pinterest, to understand it, to really know it, to get it. And I don't want you to fall into that trap, you know. There's a lot of people who will say things, and you know, it's I think it's all in good intention, really, honestly. I think it's all good intentions. They do, you know, honestly, deep down, I'm sure that they want to help people. However, they may just not have done their due diligence fully yet. So you just have to be careful there with what you're reading and hearing. You, I hope, now understand how Pinterest works better and how you can start building your brand and use it now for that space. The earlier you get started, the better. And you want this brand to be around for a lifetime, for a very, very long time. This brand is something that is bigger than you. You are building something bigger than yourself, and you need to think big and stop trying to think small. Coming up with a fake name and a pseudonym, and you think that that's going to trick the system and I'm going to follow 100 people per day, that you think that you've got Pinterest figured out. It's not happening. I'm sorry. It's a lot of wasted time and energy. Build a brand. Use keywords. It is a search engine. Make sure that your visual images are amazing so that people discover your brand, they know what you're about, and they want to go find out more. Pinterest wants to see engagement on those pins. They want people to find your brand, to click through those pins, to go shop at your store. I'm telling you, that's what they want. That is their interest of why they exist, of why they're here. This is revolutionary, guys. This is amazing stuff. And I don't want you to miss out, please. I want you to do everything that you possibly can. Yeah, he's so young. Yeah. I was talking about Ben Silverman. He is young. He's 4 years younger than me, believe it or not. We're fairly close to the same age, and you know what? I'm going to say this out loud. I was thinking this morning. I thought, wouldn't it be amazing if someday I could meet Ben Silverman? Wouldn't that be amazing? That would be really cool, and be able to just talk in person and say, wow, I cannot believe this, you know, of just so many things, so many connections. And yes, it's a small world after all. Yes. And definitely a smart man for sure. Very revolutionary in thinking. I'll tell you this, Google does not hire people who are not forward thinkers and pioneering. That I can guarantee. I think anyone, if you think about that, you know that Google, if they hire someone, they need someone who is a pioneer, who is revolutionary in their thinking. They're very forward thinking, and that describes Ben perfectly. In fact, I think he was so forward thinking that he came up with this concept and idea and was able to execute it very well, and came up with his own platform called Pinterest that has done amazingly well for him. So I think that's something that is very inspiring for all of us with that. Yes. And here is a comment. Thanks for the info and insight today. I think I finally understand the premise of Pinterest now. I hope so. It's really been hard. I understand it's hard for everyone to wrap their brain around. It's been hard for me to wrap my brain around this. It's taken a long time, and you just have to let it keep sinking in and let it keep sinking in as what this is. What is Pinterest really? And once you understand it better, then it's easier for you to know how to use it, how to do it well for your business. Once you get everything connecting there, all of a sudden you are off and running, and you're going to take off on Pinterest and do very, very well. And you'll have a strategy in place, you'll have plans in place, you'll be able to do the things that you need to do. So I hope that this has been an eye-opener. I don't mean to get on a soapbox of anything, but I really want to use this as a way of sharing so that you're working smarter, not harder. And I don't want you to spend all your time thinking that if I follow all these people, they'll follow me back and I'll get more my pins out there and the sales will increase. Actually, there's not really a direct correlation between the followers and your sales happening there. So it's kind of fruitless, to be honest with you. It's a waste of time to spend your energy doing that. And I don't want you to go down that black hole and then say, yep, Pinterest doesn't work. Well, it's because it doesn't work in that way, the way that you're trying to make it work. So it's almost like everyone is trying to fit Pinterest in a box, and they're trying to fit it in a social media box, and it's not a social media box. So don't treat it in that way. And you can tell because there's a lot of people, marketers, who have created these tools, a lot of these bot tools, and they think that that's going to be the trick, right? They're trying to trick the system. Actually, that's considered spamming. And if you get found using one of those bots, then your account is gone. It'll be gone off of Pinterest. They will just wipe you out. Okay, other questions here. Is it possible to start a Pinterest influencer account like Instagram? Well, right. You just need to do it as a brand. Yep, absolutely. You have to get started now. Get started today. People use Pinterest, again, as a visual search engine. So if you didn't watch the first part of this and you're just jumping in now, you want to go back through this and watch it again as we talk through several things and helping you understand and see in a different way of how Pinterest works. It is not Instagram. Is it very influential? Absolutely, because it's one of the first places that people go to discover new things. They have open minds. They want to learn new things. They want to discover new things. They want to experience new things. They want to buy new things. That's where they go. They're looking for ideas. So if you have some things that you think is great, that is definitely a place of influence, is Pinterest. Absolutely. It's their first stop. It's their first stop. So I don't use Instagram, so I can't really comment on Instagram at this point, but I do use Pinterest very heavily. And I feel that it's more influential in many ways than Instagram or Facebook or Twitter, because it's not a social media site, and they don't ever want it to be a social media site. That's not the vision, and that's not the purpose of it. That's why I feel as though businesses need to pay attention to Pinterest. And it's definitely worth your time and energy to be on the platform. And a lot of people say, oh, it takes a lot of work and a lot of time, and should I really go through the work, and is it worth it? And I hope through the end of this, you'll see that yes, it's worth it. It's worth it. And you could hear it from Pinterest themselves of saying what their interest is, what their purpose is, what their vision is for the platform overall. And definitely keep up to date. Read articles that come out all the time about Pinterest so that you get a better understanding and you can keep up to date on the progress of this. Okay, any other questions? Drop them down below. If not, we're going to stop for today. This was a long one. Oh my goodness. I just felt really in need of helping people get the right guidance. I want you to go in a direction that will be fruitful for you. I don't want you to run around like a chicken with her head cut off, you know, like you're just spinning your tires and nothing is happening and you're not getting anywhere. I've been there, I've done that. And I learned the hard way because I was using Pinterest in the wrong way because I just didn't get it. Now I get it. And now we're executing it really well and we're coming up with strategies all the time of different things to use on Pinterest to help people find and discover you better with your products and your pins and your business as a whole, your brand. That's why it's so important. And you can get your logo, your brand logo on all of your pins. People will absolutely love it. They'll get to know you and they will fall in love with what you have. Awesome. Okay. Anyways, I hope that this helps you and I'll let you go. Have a great rest of your day.